want to prop the legs in this position, you know, by all means. I'm bringing my legs where I'm kneeling. So I'm doing a close-up, but my legs are going to be bent like this.
Okay.
So, but you go where you're comfortable. If you'd rather put a pillow under the legs, that's fine too.
Oh, okay.
So I don't mean to be being rude if I don't look at you at the camera, but a lot of this work is going to be done with my head straight on. So I'll talk you through it, but then I'll check in on you to make sure you're doing it okay.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah.
So when we're lying down like this, and again, you can do this with your eyes closed or open, but obviously, you know, if you want to see it, but you'll see the camera as well. But what we'll be doing here is I'm going to be applying pressure right through the solar plexus,
Yeah.
like bring my back into the table. And what you should feel is this part of your back rise from the floor. So it's almost like a seesaw.
Okay.
Do you feel that?
It's okay. Yeah, I feel that.
So
But I have to help with the hand or no?
no, you don't have to use your hands, but if that makes it clearer for now, by all means. Because some people it's hard to bend their backs, so whatever.
Wow. Wow. I feel it.
So leave that alone for a second. And now what I want you to do is lightly push your feet into the floor, just like you're stepping on a piece of paper. Not that you're pushing into the floor, but when you push in, now this part of your back should go into the table. And again, nice slow movements. Do you feel how the top part of your thorax is going into the floor?
Yeah, I feel like a wave in the ocean.
Good.
It's coming from the feet, right?
Yeah. And now leave that alone and go back to the first one and just press the middle of your back into the floor and see what that feels like now.
It's more easy.
More easy, and also you should start to feel how your pelvis goes up as well as your upper back.
Yeah.
And now leave that alone and go back into pressing the foot into the floor and see what that feels like. Now you should start to feel that the weight just starts to transfer up the spine to go to the upper back.
Mhm.
So relax from that movement and just. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my right shoulder or your right shoulder, almost like a little bit of a roll. And so pretend that the top of the shoulder here, the top part that's closest to my ear, wants to see the table. So it's a little bit of a roll just on the right side to go into the table.
Okay.
Don't push it, don't strain. You might have to feel like you have to move your head a little bit to go towards the shoulder. And then relax with that. And now what I want you to do is go back to the part where you push the feet into the floor and go towards the top of your back, but now roll a little bit towards your right shoulder. And then come back and bring it back flat again.
My head is moving.
You should also feel too that the right pelvis goes into the ground as the left pelvis goes up.
Yeah, it's like the left foot is more strong.
Well, I'm connecting.
Okay.
This actually helps with the myofascia. This helps with your circulatory system. I'm connecting the feet up to the shoulder. Eventually we'll go all the way to the hands and the eyes, but right now, so relax with that. And now go back to just rolling the shoulder into the floor. The right shoulder. Now what you should start feeling a little bit with this is the counter tilt. As you roll your shoulder into the floor, you should actually feel your left hip going down into the floor where the right comes up. Versus the right hip going in and trying to go into that way. Well, that's what we're doing right now, is working on the counterbalance. So relax the shoulder, and now again go back in where the left foot goes into the floor more so, and roll onto your right shoulder. So just think of your left foot as it pushes into the floor, rolling into your right shoulder. And then go back to your foot, bringing the back straight.
So it's cross, it's the right foot with the left shoulder, right?
Well, right now we've been working with the right shoulder, but whatever shoulder you're working on, yes, I'm doing the cross. So I'm going from my left foot to my right shoulder. But what you should start really feeling here is the pelvis getting very free in this movement. As well as you should really start feeling your back starting to twist more. And if you're not sure, since we've only been working on this side, leave that alone and now put the right foot or the foot that you're not working on into the floor and go to the cross shoulder. And you'll feel a big difference, even just getting to the shoulder.
Well, with the area that is painful, I feel disconnected. I feel that,
But do you...
I don't feel it's working. I feel I have to tell my body what to do.
You do have to tell your body what to do. That's what happens when you're in pain.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why
but
pain is so fatiguing, because you have to tell your body what to do. But can you notice a difference just from that little bit of the one foot going into the floor versus the other foot?
Oh, yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that with this leg, when I put this foot, the wave is not coming. I had to force the wave.
Right, right. So we'll be doing both sides today, so don't worry. So now leave that alone and go back to the first move, or we just bring the back, push it down into the table and see what that feels like. You should actually feel more too how you counter onto the feet from when you push the spine into the floor.
One more time, please.
When you push the back into, like we did the first movement, now you should feel much more of a counter in through the feet. Your feet should almost feel like they're rolling a little bit as you press your middle back into the ground. And now leave that alone and just push your feet into the floor and feel going to the top of your back.
Oh, okay. When you say put the feet in the floor, I didn't have to put before. I lost this part. I always have the feet.
No, they're always bent, yes.
Okay.
But feel the push now of your feet into the floor and how the movement goes up to press your back into the floor. Now when you do this, you should actually feel your knees starting to go away from your upper back. So relax for a second. So now again, I'm staying with the same foot that we've been going in. I'm using my left foot. But when I push my left foot into the ground, and if it's easier to put your hand on the lower rib cage, but just feel the lower rib cage now twisting and going into the floor. Yeah. Left foot in, twisting to the right.
My head is moving. That's okay.
You have what?
My head is turning.
That's fine. And relax. And now just feel rolling the right shoulder into the ground. I'm knocking you out again, huh? So stop that and now feel pushing the left foot into the ground and rolling to the right shoulder. And then come back to a flat back and then roll to the shoulder and then roll back to the foot. It should just be a very gentle movement. This is the beginnings of how a baby rolls over.
I remember.
But now leave that alone and just press with the right foot and feel rolling to the left shoulder and feel the difference. Versus rolling from the left foot to the right shoulder.
One more time.
Do the opposite foot just to feel the difference. To compare the both. So now leave that alone. Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay. So now again we're going to just feel pressing the feet onto the floor, and this time I'm going to lift my tailbone. So I'll move the camera just a little bit. There we go. So I'm just lifting the tailbone as if there's a string, right? Just pulling up the tailbone. the pelvis will roll into position. Instead of thinking of the pelvis more so, think more of your feet. As the feet go down, push into the floor, it should create this cantilever, bringing the tailbone up. So now think of rotating the pelvis, but just think of the hip, the left hip to go up and feel the right hip go down. So what's ever clearer in your mind, either it's tilting the right hip into the ground to bring up the left, but you're pressing your left foot into the ground only, and just feeling the pelvis and the tailbone come up.
Oh, one more time. Sorry.
Okay. So don't push both feet into the ground. You're only going to push the left foot into the ground.
Okay.
But feel with that how the pelvis tilts.
But I have to lift, right? Lift it.
You shouldn't have to lift. By just pressing the foot into the ground, that's automatically going to create the lift. The turn should be automatic.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
But if it's not, just try to visualize the right hip going into the ground as the left hip comes up. No. This should be a very good lesson, not only for the shoulders, but believe it or not, your neck's getting a huge change from this, and we're not even working with it. But now we're going to start going to the other side. So just feel now again the original movement of bringing the back into the ground. Now when you do this now, you should actually almost feel the rib cages start to widen away from each other.
Is that what?
When you now press the back into the ground, you should start to feel the rib cage start to widen. Whereas before, it seemed to just lift the back of the neck.
Okay.
In other words, you shouldn't be activating as many muscles now into the back by doing this. And now leave that alone, and just again, we're going to go now to the left shoulder, as if the top part of the shoulder, the part that's closest to the ear, wants to roll and see the table. A very gentle movement. And leave that alone. And now just feel just the right foot pressing into the floor. Move that movement to the top of your back and then over to the left shoulder.
One more time. Right foot.
Right foot, just press that into the floor. And then slowly go towards the left shoulder.
Also the pelvis move, right?
The pelvis will twist, yes. Spinal twist. Hopefully your spine is starting to feel like a strand of pearls, where it's slowly going down the chain of the spine. and relax and go back and just push the 2 feet into the ground and feel what that does. And go relax the feet and then push in, go back and forth. You should start to feel that your head goes taller when you push your feet into the floor, and then it comes back down. Almost like I always feel like it's an ocean, that the water comes up to the sand and it hangs out and then it goes back to the sea. That nice gentle movement of the end of the wave. And leave that alone and just go back and roll the left shoulder into the ground again.
Wow.
Believe it or not, all this we're working on is crawling and walking.
It's time to crawl.
No, just think. You don't have to do it, but if I put my 2 hands here, right?
Yeah.
And if I press my left foot in and my right foot. So this is what we're working on, is crawling. But see, when I go to crawl, when my hand goes up, my shoulder rolls into the ground. I'm pressing through the foot, my shoulder rolls into the ground. So it's a crawl.
Wow. Yeah.
Does that make more sense? But
you know what?
What?
When we start moving here, I had to clean my other house, and I was in 4-leg crawling, and it was super painful. Yeah, crawling always was painful for me the last year. So I also, when I play with my daughter, it was painful. Like, I don't know how to crawl.
Yeah. So swimming was hard, cutting scissors, riding a bicycle. All these things have to do with the act of crawling. Reading, because reading, when you crawl, your head goes side to side like reading a book. So a lot of people that haven't crawled are dyslexic, although I crawled forever and I'm dyslexic, so, no rhyme, no reason. So now, right foot in, and then push again if you have to put your hand on the lower rib cage, but roll over to the left rib cage. So the foot gets pushed in, and then you roll over, again, twisting the middle back. Now,
that part, I don't get that part.
you're pushing the right foot in and twist through the pelvis. As you go into the lower ribs, they'll go into the table.
But the rib that going to the table is the left, right?
Correct, you're crossing through the pelvis.
Not the shoulder, right? I focus on the rib.
Right now, your focus is on the lower rib. Like I said, if it helps to put your hand there, like you're pushing, then that's fine too. But when you go to roll over from this position, so if you watch me here, I'll cross from the left foot. So if I were to roll, I'm going to push through here. Do you see how my rib cage goes into the floor?
Yeah.
Because that's a roll.
Yeah.
So when people's rib cage goes up and they're trying to, that's where you see the babies and they can't roll over. And that's where the parents all call me going, what's wrong with my kid? And I'm like, there's a kink in the back. Most likely it was a C-section, but that rotation didn't happen through the spine, so now the ribs don't know what to do. So, but if you roll the ribs into the floor, then all of a sudden the babies or us, then we just roll over.
Yeah. Wow.
So now relax and just do a few simple moves. Right foot into the left ribs, and then cross. Left foot into your right ribs. And just see what that feels like.
It's
Nice and slow. Again, if it helps to put your hands on the lower ribs to feel, you should feel almost, the movement should feel like you're a little boat in the water. So there should be a nice wave, but back and forth through the pelvis. But what I'm doing here now is I'm breaking up the movement in the pubic bone to butterfly. So the movement through your sit bones and the pubic bone should actually feel like they're twisting through the groin of the pelvis.
Yeah.
And again, if you haven't crawled or it's been a long time, that movement might seem a bit unfamiliar. But again, it's easier to focus on from rib to rib, crossing through the feet, and then the pelvis should automatically do this.
But you know what? When I go to the left, I feel all the area of, I don't feel pain. I don't feel the sharp pain, but I feel all the area is awakening. It's like, what is going on here? Is going to pain, or is it's like all the area in the back of the shoulder blade tell me something.
Well, this is where we're changing your history, because if your brain suddenly says, I can do that movement, then that's where the memories start to change, because it's like, yeah, I know, but if I did that, it used to hurt, but not anymore, so therefore, I don't have to worry as much. So just be calm with that. Do you need to rest at all or go long with the legs, or are you fine?
I'm okay.
So now just think of the shoulders. So now we're just going to roll a couple times the right shoulder into the table. And then leave the right shoulder alone, and then do the left shoulder into the table. And now I want you to alternate. So roll the right shoulder into the table, and then the left shoulder into the table. Just nice little simple moves. And hopefully you'll start to see that your pelvis can alternate, but if that's too much information, and then just do a couple of quickies. Just quickly just move your shoulders back and forth. And then just relax for a second. And again, at this point, if you want to bring your legs long, just to relax. But your back should feel just nice and wide and comfortable on the floor. So now, even with the legs long, just feel what it's like to press the middle of the back into the floor. And then just think of the belly as if you've just had a baby, or you're getting, but just feel the belly pushing out like you're pregnant. And then come back in and pressure back into the ground. And then feel again belly out. If that's hard, just cough and feel that muscle in the stomach, and then push the belly out, and then go back into the table. Now just watch me for a second. This might be too advanced at the moment because of not crawling. This is something you can play with. But now when they do the movement is you push the belly out and then down, almost like you're gonna rotate through the back this way. So you're gonna feel like the muscle starts to scoop through the pelvis and then down up through the diaphragm. But again, this movement is a little bit more advanced. That's something you can play with. And then eventually you should be able to do it to the right. Sort of like a belly dancing. And then to the left. But to alternate it. But again, this is very advanced. It's something you can play with. It'll be able to go this way. It's easier with the legs bent to think of it where you can go around like this way. Some people look at that as a pelvic clock. I'm looking at it more as the abdomen.
Okay. Like if you have a baby and you like to...
Right, just like you have a baby. For women, this is a nice visualization. But what that'll do is, by pushing the belly out, this again goes back to myofascial work and all of that, you're actually pulling the diaphragm down and elongating those lungs and working with all the tissue through the abdomen that way.
Yeah.
But also you should feel too when you move the tissue that inside or behind the scapulas, that area in between also is getting exercised or worked with in this position. Now if you want to go as far, again, to work with the choking kind of thing, as the belly goes out, the tongue goes out. So sort of and with that, you should feel the tissue all above the top part of the chest, connecting the mouth into the belly. But again, that's something you can play with. Right now, we're just going to work with the shoulders. But the part of getting the belly out, now what I want you to do is keep your belly out a little bit and roll the right shoulder into the ground. So as the belly goes out, the shoulder goes down. Now what this move is very significant. This is like going down the stairs. If you go to drop that pelvis down, the belly releases to bring that leg long to walk down the stairs. So if that's easier to think of the left leg going into the floor as the belly goes out, but then you'll notice you'll cross over to the right shoulder. But that belly, everything should be freeing up quite nicely with all of that.
You know, I feel the knot in the fusion area. I have a fusion in the L5. I feel when my belly is going out and down, more for the right side. When my belly goes to the right and down.
Okay, so relax for a second. Okay, and just visualize that area, the into the vertebrae. And just feel that vertebrae. And I like the visualization like of strings. So sometimes I bring my hands up at first, but as if I was pulling the string, feel the vertebrae in that section of the back to twist to the right. So see how it's like I'm pulling the string? So if you can do it without the hands, that's great. But again, I like to string it first. And then leave that alone, and now feel the string going to the left.
Yeah, it's more easy to the left.
Yeah, well, that's when, the more you get to do these kind of things, you'll see where you might feel it's more easy or weak or strong, whatever vocabulary you're using. But the whole point is you can't develop anything until you know where you're at. And now just feel that section of the back going to the right and to the left. And again, if it's easier with the strings. And now go back to the belly and see if that's easier now, if you don't feel that area knotted. Just push out that belly. And now when you do it, go back to pushing the left foot in and the belly out and see if that got any easier. And now relax. And now we're going to do the right foot into the floor and rotate to the left shoulder with the pushing that belly out.
Without pushing or pushing?
Push the belly out. But with this now too, you should really feel that sacrum and the pelvis opening up. The SI joints in the back of the... And now combine the movements. So push the right foot in, like you're doing with the belly out, and then push the left foot in and push the belly out towards the right side. And then go back and forth. Again, you should feel like a big pregnant woman, but... And now forget about the belly. Don't worry about pushing it out, but it'll naturally react, and just press the left foot in and then the right foot in. And then just relax for a second and see what that feels like. And again, if you want to go along with the legs to feel it as well, that's fine. This is the part where I could go to sleep too. Everything gets so relaxed, I could just go. There was nothing worse in my training than after lunch to have to do a lesson like this, because you'd have a full belly and I would just go out. I just couldn't do it. So bring the knees bent again. And now very slowly, I want you to go from the left foot pushing in to the right rib cage, to the right shoulders, and now cross over to the left shoulder going down, the left rib cage, and then to the right foot.
Okay.
So it's not that you're doing a big circle, you're almost doing the infinity. So the foot up to around to the shoulder, over, and then back to the foot this way, and then back to your left foot. Nice and slow, just feel it. It's not a competition, it's going to feel a little weird. If it's hard with the feet, just do the chest part of just rolling the chest around, sort of like a big pelvic clock.
When I arrive to the right foot, I jump to the left foot, or I come back from the same way.
You can do either. If you want to stay on the right foot and then come back over and then go back down to the left. But eventually, especially if you do it quickly, like these little quickie moves, you should be able to feel it just go around your body. And now just concentrate on the feet and just do a couple of quickies. Just almost like a tantrum, but don't lift the feet off the ground and just go back and forth. But what you should actually start to feel when you do this is your tailbone should be nice and free and just sort of float back and forth. Almost like you're wagging your tail. But with all of this, you don't have to test it per se, but your shoulders, excuse me, now that I've gone to that mode, you should feel nice and free in this position, even though we, quote, didn't really work on them. I know, right? But again, you should feel that crawl. That crawl should feel nice and familiar right now if you bring the hands up. Just moving your feet back and forth into the ground, you should automatically feel that crawl coming through. Does it feel good to you?
Yeah, that's good.
And notice I crawled without gravity. Now you can go on with this and play with the crawling, but your brain does not care if it's on its back or if it's on its all fours. This is what's interesting about the brain. People think you have to now have the strength and the coordination. I can do it this way, nice and easy. It's still facilitating the need in my brain. But now, again, where to go with this, if you push the foot in, you can slowly bring, we have time, we can pull this part off. So just bring the right hand up to a 90-degree angle. And now we're going to think of pushing the left foot in, but as the left foot in, we're going to bring the hand just down to the table. Okay, so as my left foot goes in, now when the foot stops, the arm stops. So I don't want the arm to come down where you've already stopped the foot. I'm looking for the coordination or the synchronizing. So if this is all you can do right now, this is all you can do. But eventually you want to, again, go where the hand will go to the table. And then also you'll start to notice too, which I wasn't doing, just let that hand lay like nice and loose. And relax for a second and leave that alone. Now if I bring that back and put the hand on the table above me, is that comfortable for you if you do this where you lie the hand on the floor? Is that comfortable?
So it's okay.
If it's not okay, then for you going forward, maybe do it with a bit of a pillow. There you go. Is that better?
It's much better.
Okay. So I'll do it as if I had a pillow, but now what you're going to do is when you lightly press the left foot into the ground, just start to slide. And again, if all you're doing right now is visualizing, so not necessarily looking for this right now, but just start to slide the hand up. Again, when the foot stops, the hand stops. But now, bring in my rotation. See where the thumb is? As it slides, rotate the hand.
I don't see your hand.
Oh, sorry. So you're going to, as you slide, rotate that hand. Because that would be rolling over. I would rotate the hand to go touch something if I was a bee. Right, thumb to the ceiling.
My head is moving too.
Right, because that's where you're starting to synchronize the eye and the hand and the feet. So this is what we can work on next time if you want or whatever, but eventually, again, we'll be working on the rolling over and again, the shoulder function, coordinating all of that.
Yeah, that's great. Let me try the other. See. Yeah, wow.
See now, in Feldenkrais ATMs, it would just be here and here. But I find with the rotation, it gets much more out of the back.
Yeah.
And then eventually too, if both hands are up, you're pressing the left elbow in and reaching, and you can't see any of that, hold on. So eventually too, something like this, like if I was reaching for the ceiling, but pressing the left elbow into the floor, you know what I mean, and reaching. So you're using your counter
Okay.
and counter versus lifting the arm up and having the shoulder straight.
The energy comes from the foot.
Correct. And that's your driving.
Yeah, and it's for this energy that my hand is moving.
Right. But that's driving the car. Do you see it? I'm pushing my foot down into the floor, accelerating, and I can turn my steering wheel. And I counter. Versus having all that shoulder effort, and that's where you get a lot of the pain when you're driving.
It's like swimming.
Yeah. And it's more coordinated. And now your eyes are more free to do what they need to do in driving.
Yeah.
So, okay.
The Newborn Movement Assessment Guide is available at Amazon.com and at the newbornmovementassessment.com website.
By joining this exciting community, you will learn how to help infants from the moment that they enter the world and change the lives of countless children and families. Out of necessity to help a globally delayed child, Michelle Turner, Movement Integration Specialist, created Movement Lesson to benefit children throughout the world.